By fans, for fans, the Hog Style. And now, here's your host, Sean Conti.
The Redskins won their second straight this week at Carolina, here and now, at the end of a lost season when it matters the least. Say what you want about the team, though. We saw strong performances this week from Darius Geis, Adrian Peterson, and lots of guys on the defense, including some surprises. So don't go away. We're here to talk about it right after a word from our sponsor.
Support for the Hog Style comes from Manscaped, the best in men's below-the-belt grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Ready or not, the holidays are here. Still struggling to come up with the perfect gift for that special someone in your life? The answer is Manscaped. The Manscaped Perfect Package 2.0 is the perfect gift this holiday season. It includes the Lawnmower 2.0 trimmer, the Crop Preserver anti-chafing deodorant, and the Crop Reviver toner spray, which is infused with cooling aloe vera to keep you from sweating, sticking, and smelling. Trust me, she will love the manly scent of these products. It even comes with a pair of Manscaped boxer briefs to keep you feeling fresh all day long. Manscaped has redesigned the electric trimmer. Their new Lawnmower 2.0 has proprietary advanced skin-safe technology to prevent nicks and snags, has a rechargeable battery, and it's waterproof so you can use it in the shower. Stop using the same trimmer down below that you use on your face. So what are you waiting for? Head over to manscaped.com now and get 20% off your order and free shipping by using the code BIGHEADS. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Promo code BIGHEADS.
Alrighty, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Hogstye back with you. Sean Conti, Jamal Forrest, Alex Zeese, and Steve Thomas. Happy to celebrate another win, including the second in a row. Did not really think we were going to be saying that at this point in the year. How are you guys feeling after this victory Sunday?
Hail to the Redskins, man. I'm all excited. I'm always happy when they win. Sean, we had this conversation, before the show. It's like I don't care about any of the rest of it. All of, the draft and Bruce Allen, all that stuff will sort itself out. I'm just happy when the Redskins win a game. They made it a little bit of a heart attack, at the end, but, win is a win, and that always makes me happy. So I'm ecstatic.
Fair enough. Win's a win. Alex, Jamal, you guys feeling the same way about it? Super happy to see this win today against Carolina. Team with a 5-6 record, by the way, coming in. So this wasn't exactly another total bottom-of-the-barrel team that we faced and eked a win out against. They had a little something going for themselves. I know they have been struggling and obviously have a major injury to deal with. But my only point is it's a somewhat meaningful win against this team.
I'll let Jamal go first because he's having some technical issues and is calling in. So we'll let him go first here.
Okay, I appreciate the courtesy now, brother. But no, I don't know if I feel the exact same way, but what I do feel when it comes to this Redskins team, this was like, even before the season started, when Dwayne Haskins became the starting quarterback at whatever point this was, I just wanted to make sure that he won as a starter. Because there's nothing, good about a starter starting their career 0-4, whatever. So it's good to get those young guys in and have some game experience and have them win games. That's not always meaningful to them, but meaningful even to the other team. Because technically you're still playing for something. You're trying to ruin their season as well. So, I kind of feel glad or feel happy for them, but in the grand scheme of things, the overall sense of the win, doesn't really matter to me. I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm mostly with you on that, too.
Well, I was going to say I agree with you, and it was great because Haskins probably looked more comfortable in the pocket than we've seen so far. I know his numbers were kind of, average, similar to what we saw last week in terms of yardage and no touchdowns, but just watching him in the pocket, his comfort level was incredibly solid looking. The run game was amazing. I think they said on the broadcast that's the most rushing yards we've had since 1984 in a single game. And
I don't know about that.
Well, Geis and Peterson alone were over 200 yards alone, and that wasn't even the only.
I don't know if that's right about.
Well,
that
I think
it's a big game though.
It was a big game. And they might be wrong, or I might have misheard them, but it's been a long time since we've seen 250 plus yards in the run game. Totally. And then the defense just balled out, which we've been wanting to see this for a while, and now it's been 2 weeks in a row of really good defensive play, catered by the fact that they just benched Josh Norman, and that fixes everything apparently.
Yes,
I don't know about
see
that.
you.
I might be onto something.
No, it was a good move. It helped. Real quick before Steve does stats, is there any question now that playing Dwayne Haskins was the right choice? Should he have just been in from the beginning? Is there any question to that debate from a couple weeks ago?
I don't know. I still don't think he should have been in from the beginning. He was really not ready. He really didn't look like he knew what he was doing at the beginning and in the preseason. And, I thought it was the right thing to do, to bring him in kind of whenever halfway through the season.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair
I
enough.
kind of agree, too, because, one of my main arguments, or my main point to argue on is, and it can go both ways, but this is how I feel, is just the right side of the opinion, is what's the difference in starting 8 games or starting 12 games for Haskins? Essentially, he wasn't really ready to begin with, and you saw that in the first couple of games. The difference is that people don't understand is he does progressionally, he'll get better from game to game, but at the same time, it doesn't matter. If he can take the mental rest early on in the year and he can get the back end of the game starting the last 8 games, the same type of progression will be shown in those 8 games. It really makes no difference if he starts more. But if he starts the last 8, you'll still see what you need to see by season end.
Yeah, my thing would be, we haven't won either of these games off of Dwayne Haskins. He's managed them fairly well. Very
true.
But it's not like he's the one carrying the team. It's been the defense, a little bit of luck on special teams here and there. That's what's won us these 2 games. I think if we had a different quarterback in, we'd still get the win. It's
okay
because it's really just Haskins is avoiding mistakes, and I think the other quarterbacks we have could have done that as well. But
yeah, it's a great point. It was not a knock your socks off day statistically either win for Haskins. I think that's definitely true today, but I'm sure we'll hear about that.
Okay,
now.
speaking of, so I have the answer to this dilemma, Alex, by the way. There have been 7 games since 1984 that have been for more than 248 yards rushing, which is what the Redskins had. The last one was December 30th, 2012, which was the RG3 year, 274 yards.
Right.
So there's the answer. So it's not been as many as I thought. I would have guessed a lot more than that.
Seven's still a good number over that period of time. I must have misheard what they were saying then.
Yeah, you must have misheard it. I mean, the best rushing game since 1984 was 307 yards on November 3rd, 1985 against the Atlanta Falcons.
Wow. 300.
So there's a bit of trivia you will never get anywhere else but the Hawks side.
Steve is nimble on those stats sites, man. He knows where to look.
Yeah, I really know how to do the Pro Football Reference Play Index. I'm a master at it. Okay, so here's the stats. Dwayne Haskins was 13 for 25, 174 yards. Passing, was sacked 5 times. Quarterback rating of 69.9.
Hello.
Yeah, Darius Geis was the leading rusher, 10 for 129 yards, including the big 60-yard run was the long on the day for both teams. Adrian Peterson, 13 carries, 99 yards, 7.6 yards per attempt. And by the way, Geis was 12.9 yards per attempt. On his.
You know what? Let's give Adrian Peterson 100 because they kind of shortchanged him on that run from the 1-yard line. He got past the 25 and they marked it at 22. So I don't know.
Yeah, it was a bad.
Let's say Peterson got 100. There we go.
And by Alex's measure at least. Chris Thompson was 3 for 14. Kelvin Harmon was the leading receiver, 3 for 51. Jeremy Sprinkle, 2 for 36. Steven Sims, 3 for 29. Chris Thompson, 1 for 15. Terry McLaurin, 2 for 8. Darius Guice 2 for 8. And on the Carolina Panthers side, Kyle Allen was 27 of 46 for 278 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, sacked 7 times. We'll get to that. Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Christian McCaffrey, 14 for 44. Kyle Allen, 4 for 22. 17 of those came on one run, which was the touchdown run. Receiving-wise, DJ Moore, 6 for 75. Curtis Samuel, 4 for 65. Christian McCaffrey, 7 for 58. And Greg Olsen, 3 for 22 before he got his block knocked off. Sacks. Let's see. Monte Nichols, Chris Odom.
Yeah.
Who?
What?
Chris Odom. Yes.
Chris Odom.
Something named Chris Odom got 2 sacks. Nate Orchard, somebody called Nate Orchard, is on the Redskins. He got a sack. Montez Sweat, 1.5 sacks. Jonathan Allen, half a sack. Who did I miss? Matt Ioannidis, 2 sacks. And we're just kidding. We actually do know how those
Open
two guys.
season.
We're just kidding.
Yeah.
We do know who this
Well,
guys are.
I knew they were on the team. I didn't know who they were.
Fabian Moreau got the 1 interception. And from the Panthers side, they did have 5 sacks, but I'm not going to read all of that. So that is stats. And punting-wise, Tressway punted for 290 yards, so he did not outpunt the
Barely
offense.
outpunted the running game.
He might, he got gypped to 20 yards on his big 79-yard punt, though. If that had died on the 1, he would have got another
Right.
few yards out of it.
Yeah.
So that's stats.
Fair enough. Well, do we want to go offense or should we start defense? I kind of alluded to these 2 guys, Orchard and Odom, in the intro I did when I said we had some surprise contributions on defense. So why don't we just maybe talk about that? So Odom came from practice squad, right?
Yeah, okay, but here's the thing. Who on earth is calling the defensive plays?
Yeah, because it's clearly not Greg Minuski.
Greg
the question.
Minuski. I mean, and we're kidding. Obviously, it is Greg Minuski. But never in 2019 have I seen the Redskins blitz so much, disguise blitzes so much. It was the opposite. They started off really rough, obviously. The first 2 drives, it looked like same old Redskins. They were going to get crushed. But by the second quarter, man, this team, again, I mean, they're disguising blitzes. They're blitzing more than 4 guys. Great job, in that regard.
So that was the question that I was kind of going to lead into. So it seems to you like you're really seeing a huge difference in scheme. We didn't find total diamonds in the rough in Odom and Orchard, or whatever the guy's is, Orchard, right? We didn't find diamonds in the rough there. It's really there's a difference you're seeing in the nature of the calls being played and the packages that you're seeing that's resulting in more success. It really makes you wonder, what is it? Why does it take for the season to get lost, for things to get turned around, and for us to end up here doing this, turning in a performance like this?
Well, Jamal, chime in, because, you're on the phone. It's a bit tough to chime in. Thoughts?
Yeah, I was actually hoping somebody answered because it was hard to hear the question. I'm not going to lie to you. Just because of this kind of connection that we had. Can you repeat that, Sean?
Yeah, I mean, really, I'm wondering, why is it that 2 relative nobodies like Orchard and Odom walk onto this defense in this week at the end of the season, and the team comes away with 7 sacks in 1 game? Why are we so effective with these 2 general nobodies, again, no offense, coming onto the team? Why are they putting in such strong performances now?
Okay.
I mean, what happened?
All right, well, personally, I just think that that there is the interior pressure with this defensive line is always with Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne and Ioannidis, all of them inside the same rotation. I think it's a positive, and it's kind of effective to a certain degree. And with that being said, I kind of think a lot of things played into a factor, and that includes coverage, that includes the pressure up front. I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't even know these 2 before they even played today. I have no clue either.
Exactly.
However, you just got to give credit to where it's due. They had a hell of a game today, but the most important thing is just to follow them moving forward. Because if there's somebody, worth noting every single week, then that's something good. But today was a really good game from, the entire front, the defensive front. And you just got to get kudos. So, and that's something that's worth noting. And I don't necessarily know if, these nobodies are going to stick around for any longer. But I just don't want. It's worth giving them the credit today, but I just don't know if it's something that's sustainable, because you will have tougher opponents the very next week you have Green Bay, and you would like to see what they do against these guys, assuming that they'll be back in their role and health is not a factor for other players.
That's going to be fun. Green Bay, can't wait.
Yeah, I think it's worth noting that we told you in our game preview that Carolina's offensive line really stunk. I told you that their tackles in particular really stunk. And what did we see? Tons of pressure off the edge that we hadn't seen all year long. I don't think Montez Sweat, before he went out with his injury, all of a sudden became a veteran pass rusher. I think a big part of this is that Carolina's offensive line stinks. And so you got to factor that in. But to the everlasting credit of the Redskins coaches, they knew that, and what happened? They put a ton of pressure on them. So congratulations on that. Before I forget, injuries.
I still don't understand, Steve, why it takes this long for the coaches to watch the damn tape and, put favorable matchups together and game plan effectively. But your point is well made. They did what they had to do. I just don't get why they can't do that every week.
Stop asking.
Well, I mean, and I have some theories that I think this team was in the midst of a psychological bottoming out over the last 16 games starting mid last season, and they finally just hit their low point. I don't know when, and now they're kind of rebuilding. It's kind of like, how sometimes you have to break a person down and then rebuild them as an adult?
Well, it's kind of like, when drug addicts come to that point where they know they have to get off heroin. That's sort of where the Redskins are about this. Real quick, injuries.
We're still taking Bruce Allen right to the veins.
Yeah, they are. We're injecting Bruce Allen into our arms.
Wait, are we saying Bruce is the heroin? That's right. Okay. Good.
Yes. Yes. Either that or he's the guy injecting it, and Dan Snyder's the heroin.
I don't know.
The other. Okay, Trey Quinn, with the big dirty hit on him, he had the head injury, I would assume concussion. They never really said.
Yeah, I think it was.
Morgan Moses went out early in the game with a back injury, and Montez Sweat had a quad injury that he claimed in the locker room afterwards shouldn't be a big deal. So we'll see. That is injuries for today.
Okay.
Yeah, so what else on defense?
Well, you mentioned the Quinn hit. Can we talk about the BS ejection Aaron Anderson got on his hit?
Yeah, I didn't like that.
Yeah. Now, I think we would all agree, fine, it's a flag, right? Like, even though Olsen was ducking, that's going to get called because it's helmet to helmet. But where is the intent to make that a dirty hit?
Particularly when Olsen's got it intentionally lowered his head. That's what I never understand about these. It's why is an offensive player allowed to lower his head like that, and then Ryan Anderson's going to get flagged,
I agree. Just as a defensive player, you have to be aware that the tie is going to go to the offense. You don't lower to meet the guy. This is two, really big guys running really fast to meet each other. It's not really fair the way it's called, but it's going to get called that way. So be careful.
It doesn't usually get an ejection. That's the weird thing.
Well, that is true. I mean, that's ridiculous. I agree.
So the other play we're talking about, in case you missed this, was early in the game, punt return. Trey Quinn got his head taken off by number 18, who was DeAndre White of the Carolina Panthers. White got a penalty.
Not for the hit, though. He got it for catch interference or something.
I mean, it was clearly a dirty hit. It was helmet-to-helmet contact. He should have been ejected. If Anderson should have been ejected, he should have been ejected because I thought it was a much dirtier hit.
It absolutely was.
Did. So I don't understand. This referee crew really sucked today. They missed a bunch of calls. There's a reason they had calls.
They're getting spots wrong, right and left, like I mentioned before.
Yeah. Terrible.
It's the Tom Brady effect. You're going to call a dirty hit against Olsen before you call it against Trey Quinn, and that is unfair. But at the same time, that's what it is.
True.
Right.
That's just what it is. It's the league looking out for their top.
It's just like, call it, be consistent about it.
I think we all agree there. I just hope that we don't end up seeing a bunch of fines for Anderson there. And by the way,
there's definitely going to be a fine.
Yeah, well, then hopefully there's a fine for the other guy, White.
The other guy,
there was also, who was it? Somebody got ejected at the end of the game, too. Like, last minute. One of the defenders. They on the very last play, on the fumble, they called an ejection for Quentin Dunbar or somebody.
Was that what it was? So was that related to that couldn't have been related to the unsportsmanlike conduct call that I also missed. I did not see what that was.
They didn't show it. That's the weird thing.
I missed that, Alex. Yeah, I missed that. I didn't see anyone else get ejected, but I could be wrong.
It's weird. Who gets
Okay,
ejected with 4
Weird
seconds to
game.
go? That's my question. If they're not throwing a helmet at somebody, I mean.
Anyone on the Redskins, pretty much. I mean, sounds about right. Let's flip over to offense, unless we have any other lingering thoughts defense-wise.
Well, yeah,
Anything else to say there?
Secondary,
Okay.
Josh
Norman-less secondary.
I didn't think Fabian Moreau had a wonderful game, but he certainly got the interception. He almost got a second one. He's definitely more comfortable on the outside. He's definitely better than Josh has been this year, so that's a win. A win-win there. Landon Collins blew coverage one time. In there, he's never been
had
great
some good
in
tackles
coverage.
too.
Yeah, he's not
good
great in coverage. But
Steve and I got in a disagreement early about that one touchdown, whether that was a blown coverage. I say the Panthers just ran a nice pick play to stuff.
It was definitely a blown coverage. It was absolutely blown coverage. I mean, both of those guys tried to go underneath. It was definitely blown coverage, in my opinion.
And there were a couple others, too. Remember on the major sack towards the end of the game, they've got, I forget who it was, the Panthers receiver. Totally
number 13,
wide open
yeah.
in the right corner of the end zone. Number 13. Talk about a blown coverage. Thank God it was, they didn't come away with it. But still, there were definitely continuing communication problems
Jamal,
from previous weeks.
Are you still there? Chime in.
Yeah, so I was just that on Moreau. I didn't want to interrupt the conversation. But I just feel like one of the things with Moreau right now, because Steve, you were kind of right and talking about his coverage today. It wasn't like top tier or elite coverage, but it's the same thing that we kind of dealt with when we talked about Jimmy Moreland in the preseason and in training camp. Jimmy Moreland, he's a rookie. However, the first thing that we always notice is he's around the ball, he makes plays, and if you're a guy who can give you at least 1 or 2 plays a game that can kind of change the tide in your favor, then it kind of overcomes the amount of time. Well, I wouldn't say the amount of time, because you can get lost plenty of times. But if your good outweighs the bad, then it really makes no difference. And these last 2 weeks, and especially this week, Fabian Moreau had another turnover, playing in the position that he's way more comfortable in. And that's just something that's going well in his favor. I'm not saying he's on the same rookie the level as Jimmy Moreland in terms of experience. He has way more experience. However, if you're going to get beat a couple times on the outside, playing where you're most comfortable at, I'll have that confidence in you that you can make more plays than the ones that are counted against you. And that's the type of credit that I give Moreau today.
Yeah, I mean, it's so obvious when you see a guy who's naturally an outside guy playing outside versus inside, how much more comfortable they're going to look. And it kind of begs the question why the Redskins ever thought Moreau could work out in the slot, because clearly we had enough, of a sample size to know that wasn't working for him.
Well, it's pretty simple, Josh Norman. It's a political thing. Josh Norman made the big bucks. They wasn't about to bench him, so they had to make it work with Fabian inside.
Well, they should have benched him a year ago, because that's what I'm saying.
I might say, you ain't. I'm not arguing against you, but that's just how they operate. That's how NFL teams operate. Not right, but I mean they're probably doing the right thing. Probably a few games, a few weeks too late, but you get the experience, and Fabian's going to have that tape for whoever comes in to be the head coach and possibly whoever the general manager is.
Yeah, I mean, I still say that this year was the year Norman really went downhill, and I think Jamal's exactly right. I was about to agree with him. I didn't mean to step on him there. He's the big money corner. He's the number one guy. He's going to play outside. He hadn't really done anything to get benched, but once you start to see the lack of effort plays that he was showing this year, that's when you got to go, no matter how much you make. And that's what happened this year that was different than last year, I thought, in my view, at least. I mean,
I've never thought he was worth the money we're paying him, and I don't care what you're getting paid if you don't, make interceptions or, stop receivers. You're not worth starting.
Yeah, it's not worth the time. I more or less agree with you on that one. Okay, let's slip on over to the offense then. Talk a little bit about Dwayne's second win here in a row. Wonderful to see, although he, like we alluded to earlier, didn't exactly do much. This one won absolutely on the ground by Geis and Peterson. A beautiful thing to see. What are your big takeaways from this game? I mean, I don't want to be too harsh on Haskins here.
No, well, number one, as to Haskins, Terry McLaurin dropped a long one. Jeremy Sprinkle dropped one, and those
I think Sprinkle dropped like 6. It might be more than one.
Yeah.
Sprinkle's actually embarrassing me, and I'm not. I've been disassociated myself with him, but still, just the fact that I once thought that he was going to be at least a good number 2 it's looking awful.
Yeah, because every time I try to nail you with Sprinkle, Jamal, you always disavow him. You know, it's pretty.
I don't know them. Yeah.
So I mean, point is,
it's looking awful.
Haskins' stats look bad, no doubt. But he didn't deserve those kind of stats because his wide receivers did him no favors today. And the other thing I like to point out is that he didn't have any interceptions.
Right.
You know, he looked more or less comfortable in the pocket. I remember there was one play toward the goal line when he held the ball too long, missed Steven Sims open. But more or less, other than that play, at least off the top of my head, I can't really remember one where he made a misread, did something that was horribly obviously wrong like he was doing earlier.
That one third down where he tried to run it and got sacked. That was... And there were a couple guys open.
Yeah, I mean, he held the ball too long a couple times, for sure. But, I mean, he didn't make any huge mistakes. Now, as to the run game, the other thing we told you in the game preview was that Carolina's run defense really sucked. And what happened? We told you it was going to be run heavy offense. We told you that. And what happened?
Well, in the second half. First half, we did not. We ran it like 6 times or something. I
have that. You want to know?
It was not balanced.
It was, in the second quarter, it was 9 rushes for 90 yards total. Peterson was 3 for 10. Geis was 3 for 64. So if you took Geis's big 60-yard, the big long run out of that, it wasn't much. Wasn't much. So, all that happened in the second half for sure.
Yeah, I mean, look at it this way, though. You know who's ranked worse against the run than Carolina? It's us, isn't it? I mean, we're ranked worse than that. And that said, how many times this year have we let a team run for 248 yards on us? I mean, I don't think... Ooh, I really am. Please don't make me eat my words, Steve.
Yeah,
but
you're not right. Yeah, we were 28th in rushing yards. Not 30th,
okay.
So
we're worse. So we're worse ranked than Carolina.
They're 30th.
Yeah. Oh, they're 30th. Okay,
we're bad. They're worse.
Okay. Okay, so still, I mean, that said, this was even among teams that are bad, this was a really bad performance in terms of run defense for them. Geis and Peterson together, am I wrong in saying, if they're played to their potential, my goodness, this is maybe one of the best tandems in the league, if they play to their potential all the time, which they obviously don't.
Did Darius Geis not have, like, the stiff arm to end all stiff arms? He stiff-armed some dude, like, into another century, in that run.
And
that's another. Somebody needs to make a GIF out of that.
I mean, it's out there. It'll be all over the place. I would point to not that play, but I think 1 or 2 runs before. It was a first down, and Geis stiff-armed his own lineman into somebody to get 8 or 9 yards on first down. He was playing like a man possessed throughout the game. The whole thing that happened where after Geis had his big drive, AP told him, "No, you sit down. It's my turn to eat." That was great.
Right. Yeah. No kidding.
I actually missed that part, but I laughed when I heard that announcer talk about it. I mean, I think that's actually pretty healthy because I mean, we know and the people who follow the Redskins the most, that's a healthy relationship between the two. So that type of thing just shows the competitive nature because that very same drive that they talked about it from the announcer standpoint, AP broke two big runs on that drive by itself.
Yep.
I think that was the drive that put them up 29-14 or something like that. But,
it was, yeah.
It was a huge drive, and it just shows the competitive nature between the two. But if that can keep going, it's deadly. But I don't know how that's going to act. How that's going to be a difference when Bryce Love comes back. But that's a different discussion for a different time.
Well, I think you're talking about 2020 at that point, and I don't think the odds of AP being here long term are very high anyway.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's a different discussion for a different day. But it was just something to think about. Like Dice and Adrian Peterson is doing a really good job. Like their vision is what makes out of all the things that I kind of dislike about this season, and I said it last year too. One of the things that keeps me watching is Adrian Peterson because I just love running backs and see how he runs. But Adrian Peterson and Darius Guys very similar in their vision and their power. So that's the one thing I would say that's fun for me to watch right now for the Dolphins.
Yeah, beautiful. Okay. Fair enough. Jamal, you want to hit us with your game balls real quick before we close out for the day? You got any game balls, offense, defense?
Well, if it's up for me, if y'all think I'm going to change my stance on, what I felt,
game balls.
What I felt earlier, I ain't giving out no game balls and none of that. So you can pass on me.
Fair enough.
All right, fair.
It ain't changing here.
You probably have the right attitude on that. Okay, cool. Well, you know what? I know we do. Steve, you have some other thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I've got a lot more thoughts to say. Okay, number one.
My Lord, okay.
I know. Okay, so this is the first game we really saw Jaron Christian get a lot of playing time. Because Morgan Moses out a significant portion of the game, and he played right tackle. I thought there was some good and bad.
Right.
To me, he looked better in the run than in pass blocking. It looks like his strength is built up. He sealed the edge really nice on Geis's big run. If you noticed that, it was it Geis or Peterson? I can't remember. The run that went to the right edge long, one of those two guys, Christian sealed the edge really well on that, so that's good. But he gets beat by speed rushers. The Carolina edge rushers ran around him more than once, and so I think that's Jaron Christian. In terms of the rest of the offense, I think Kelvin Harmon, is just more and more and more every week. This dude needs to be starting over Paul Richardson.
Well, I think he is now.
When Richardson's healthy. Well, Richardson was inactive for health reasons. So we'll see what happens when he comes back, because it's another case of high-priced veteran versus rookie. But Kelvin Harmon's a stud. He's gonna get better.
Sims too. Sims had a great game, or not great, but he's picking up.
Decent game, yeah. And we saw him do punt returns for the first time. He didn't have too much success, but at least it was more dynamic, than Quinn. So there's that. I don't know. I could talk forever, but I'll let somebody else.
Well, I agree. I think there was a lot to see in this that should make you feel good about these young players kind of as we move and plan for the next season. Because, make no mistake, even if we were to win out and somehow be 7-9, it's not like we're a playoff team. This is all about building for 2020. It's about figuring out, do we need a starting wide receiver, or can we get by with these young kids that we have? Do we need...
Well, somewhat ironically, if we win out, we probably will be.
Well, yes, because everything's falling apart for the Cowboys and Eagles, thankfully. Yeah. But you know what I'm saying at the same time. Can Haskins show us enough to say, well, maybe he'll do what Allen up in Buffalo's doing, where he's going to have a rocky rookie year, but he could really develop into something next season? Because that's kind of what I'm hoping for when I look at him right now.
And I don't want Josh Allen to be the comp for Haskins, but Josh Allen still sucks, okay? He can't he's athletic.
Right, it's a different type of quarterback.
Getting it done, I applaud for that. Yeah, but he still can't hit the broadside of a barn, and he never will be able to. He's just getting it done through the run game and his, tenacity and all that. So I want Haskins to think more like Drew Brees.
Well, I'm thinking, I meant more, can you develop him to the point where you can build around him and have at least a competent offense next year, which is what they've done in Buffalo.
For the love of God, nobody compare him to Josh Allen, for God's sakes. That's all.
Yeah, and I want to say on his development, you can, and at this point, you've only hurt him and set that process back by taking this long to get him in there and get some wins. Very frustrating to me that now he's in and playing and it's all working out, and we're talking about development. He should have been in from the beginning doing this. Steve, any other thought? You want to give some game balls, man? You got any other lingering things?
Yeah, lingering things. Matt Ioannidis looks every bit the contract we signed him for. He's making significant impact every single week. I've got tons of notes over here about Ioannidis here today. I've got a whole bunch of horrible Jeremy Sprinkle notes, about that. What else do I have? Random notes that would be of interest. I don't know. I guess that's it for random notes. So game balls. This is a tough one. Really and truly.
You got some choices. Yeah,
I think I'm going to go Darius Geis
on offense
for mine.
All right.
Yeah, on offense because he had the big run. And at one point in time, that was kind of the only good play, significant play the Redskins had was one of his long runs. And this is his first 100-yard game, so that's special to him. So if I was a head coach, I'd give him a game ball because he got his first 100-yard game.
And 2 touchdowns, which I don't think, that's a great day.
Right, you're right. Yeah, both from the one, both out of the power eye. Did you notice both touchdowns were the same play?
Yep, right up the gut, man. A gap on the right side.
Yeah, exactly right. Now, defense, I'm glad I don't have to give the defensive game ball to, the opposing quarterback. Because a part of me does enjoy that. But I shouldn't enjoy it because it's not right, even though I kind of do in a perverse way. I'm going to give a game ball to Chris Odom. The man came from absolute nowhere. I can guarantee you, unless you have a website and a Redskins podcast, you probably didn't have never heard of him.
Even if you had a website and a Redskins podcast, you still never heard of him. You just got a press release about him.
That's me.
That's right. I sort of knew more about him just because I keep seeing him on my salary cap chart. But nobody basically knew who Chris Odom was except Mr. and Mrs. Odom. And the man came in and got 2 sacks. And so congrats to Chris Odom. You get your game ball. Chris Odom, Darius, guys.
All right.
Beautiful.
Yeah, all right. Even though I think Geis is a great one, I'm going to give a honorary one to AP because he's been struggling, I think, too, in the run game. And, 99 yards officially and a touchdown. That's a good day for most running backs. So, and I know he kind of came in here thinking he was going to get whatever he needed to get into the top 10 all time in terms of touchdowns. And I think he only needed 5 or something. It wasn't a big number, but he just hasn't been in the end zone at all. And this kind of finally breaks that dry spell. On defense, let's go Fabian Moreau because without that interception in the, that almost was a touchdown, I don't think we win this game.
Absolutely. Well said. I like that. I am going to go also running back for offense. My God, we won this game on the ground today. Darius, you get my game ball. 2 TDs. Love that 60-yard run. 129 yards. Beautiful thing to see. Don't you do that, Darius. Don't you dare give me hope. On defense, I kind of like the Moreau pick because Josh Norman sucks, and I love anyone else in there in his place playing well and putting and doing it. This is what we needed to see to know that it's time to move on from that experiment. So Moreau gets my game ball as well. But on the whole, my gosh, guys, beautiful one. Steve and I just want to clarify something Steve said earlier. Steve and I somewhat disagree on wins at this point in the season on whether you should root for the team to win, whether or not at this point. Now, I just want to clarify my stance on that because I don't want the team to lose.
Because you're not really clarifying because that was off the air, so you sort of...
He's really instigating, but he's doing it in the guise of clarification.
Well, exactly. But you alluded to it earlier, so I just want to set the record straight. I think it's an interesting conversation to be had about what a win at this point in the season really means. There is, of course, the attitude that I think Steve subscribes to that any win is a great win to see, and that if you want the team to win, that's what a real fan does, is roots for the team to win. I think you can take a more meta approach, is what I take, which is to say any scenario where the team wins emboldens Bruce Allen, emboldens Snyder to keep Allen around. We don't need any sort of empty symbols of success because that is ultimately what these wins are, in my opinion. I think Alex was right. This is not a playoff team. Even if it somehow ends up in the playoffs by a roll of the cosmic dice, it doesn't mean anything. We are not that pedigree of team. I want Bruce Allen gone. I think losing out will result in that, and it's love for the team that drives that feeling.
Look, I'm not going to say I'm not going to hide what I said off the air just because we're on the air. What I said off the air that Sean's alluding to is that if you're rooting for the Redskins to lose, you're not a real fan. And I said it, so I don't take it back. I think you ought to be rooting for the Redskins to win and let the chips fall where they may. That was my point. You all can disagree with me, send me hate mail. That's fine. That's what I've always believed. And if anybody has ever in my life ever described me as meta. I'd like to meet him because that's just not me. I'm typically a pretty black and white person when it comes to that kind of stuff. So I'm a root for the Redskins to win, be damned. If it was like the loser bowl in week 17 and the loser gets the first round, the number 1 overall pick, I'd still be rooting for the team to win. Okay, that's just the way I am. You can like it or not like it. I absolutely don't care.
No, I think it's
not you.
Totally
I'm talking to the
valid
audience, not you.
No, of course.
Yeah,
and it's a valid opinion. I think what's cool about sports is that your love for the team is we both love the team.
Right.
You know, it's like what we ultimately want is exactly the same thing. So I think they're both completely sort of valid perspectives to have on it, at least. Alex, where are you feeling at this point in the season about winning games now? I mean, it's just ridiculous that it took us to now to start putting streaks together.
I'm always in favor of winning games, but I also generally take the big picture approach where I know we're not going to be good this year or next year. Probably this team's probably, if you want to start a rebuild, it's a 3-year process, and they haven't even decided if they want to start a rebuild yet.
That's right.
Whatever gets right. Bruce Allen kicked out of here, Wile E. Coyote style, where they strap him to like a rocket ship and shoot him off into space. That's really what we all want to see in the end.
That's a real
let
win.
Me clarify, by the way. Let me clarify my position. I'm the one that wrote the column that was the collective sins of Bruce Allen and why he should be fired. I'm the one that wrote the Dear Mr. Snyder letter a few months ago. I'm the one that wrote the same column last year. There is no doubt that I think Bruce Allen needs to be ridden out of town, hog-tied at the back of a donkey, running down, I-66.
Right.
West, okay?
I think you want him hogtied to the underside of the donkey, too, because that's really the stinky side, Yeah,
however you want. Hogtied somehow. I don't care how you hogtie him. Hogtie him. So don't misunderstand my rooting for the team to always win as any sort of acceptance of Bruce Allen, because I think I've established my official record,
of course.
Is
aren't you gonna cringe a little bit, Steve, if this team ends up in the playoffs as the NFC East team? Aren't you gonna cringe a little bit?
No, zero, no. Because you know what, Mike Shanahan's exactly. Wasn't it Mike Shanahan that said your record, you are what your record says you are? Somebody help me. I can't remember.
That's been said like 100 times.
Probably,
I don't think Mike Shanahan originated it.
I kind of subscribe to this, okay? It's like, you know what? If you win 7-9, you're the best team in the NFC East. You go to the playoffs. Will you get waxed by someone, else? Yes, absolutely. But that doesn't mean I won't be happy about it, And I'll worry about Bruce Allen.
I mean, it would be the comeback of all time. It would be a hell of a story.
I don't think he's going anywhere, okay? I don't think he's getting fired. I think Mike Garoppolo, this whole thing with Bruce Allen started with Mike Garoppolo on Saturday morning, okay? He's the one that went on NFL Network and said, hey, I'm hearing that Bruce Allen might be in trouble. I think that's hogwash, okay?
Probably.
I don't think Bruce Allen's going anywhere. But, I think they could lose out and be 2-14, and he's going to go in there and sprinkle magic fairy dust on, Dan Snyder's,
Steve, it's just cocaine. It's not magic fairy dust. He's just sprinkling cocaine.
Maybe it is.
Just straight.
So he's going to snort cocaine off of Dan Snyder's bare butt. And then Dan's going to like it, and then they're going to forever be married together, in blissful
harmony. Hey, I mean, it's Virginia. Gay marriage is legal. They can do what they want.
So they just
the love story we deserve.
Take that as an image as we're headed out of this show.
Yeah. All right, fair enough. My goodness. We got Packers up next. Is that right? Jeez Louise.
Packers in Green Bay in December. Have fun with that, kids.
The hits just keep on coming. All right, cool. Well, we will be back with a preview episode for that game, so keep checking back. Until next time, come on back to thehogside.com, bigheadsmedia.com for the latest and greatest. We will see you next time.
I hope somebody tweets us a picture of that somehow.
Hello there, guys, and welcome to the Attacking Blues podcast with your hosts, myself, Lawrence, and of course, my fellow co-host, Mr. Jimmy Funnell.
Tune in to hear us talk about all things Chelsea FC and listen to our to-the-point analysis and lively discussions on a weekly basis for the Big Heads Media Network.